Hey everybody, remember Flop TV, the 1-hour online video version of the Flophouse podcast that we produced last year? Well, I'm excited to tell you it is coming back. Flop TV 2, the sequel, will be broadcasting live to your computer screen the first Saturday of every month from September through February. We're talking only about sequels this season. RoboCop 2, Breakin' 2, Highlander 2, Caddyshack 2, Ski School 2, and Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. It's going to be all new jokes, all new presentations, movies we have never covered on the show before, all in a tight 1-hour-ish package. Can't join us the night of the show? That's okay. The videos for every episode will remain online through the end of February, so you can binge them or dole them out as you prefer. So that's Flop TV 2, the first Saturday of every month from September through February. For tickets and more information, go to flophousepodcast.com/events. Again, that's flophousepodcast.com/events. Flop TV 2, everything you loved about Flop TV, but again.
On this episode, we discuss If.
Live from Boston, Massachusetts!
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
We are absolutely swimming in beans. So this is the Flophouse. It's a podcast where we watch a bad movie, we talk about it. I'm Dan McCoy,
I'm Stuart Wellington.
you. I'm Elliot Kalin, and together we are...
the Flophouse. That might confuse the live audience who already heard this spiel, but you know
mean, they're
what?
not
We're
gonna be
resetting.
Nice
gonna be
use of the word
confused.
spiel. Yeah.
No, they thought they fell into a time tunnel.
Right, okay, that makes
There
sense.
are a lot of those in Boston, yeah. The Big Dig, I think they called it. When they dug that time tunnel,
Certainly
the
took long enough.
dig was too big, and they went into the past and the future.
So,
Oh, yeah, traffic to the 13th century was terrible today. Good thing I got this Dunkin' coffee to power me through it. Yeah.
do you guys feel like we're like on like a local public affairs program with this setup?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, we're here at WBUR City Space, a public radio mecca headquarters performance venue. And yeah, it feels like we're here to talk about local zoning issues that may not be sexy, but will affect you.
I wish we could have zoned this movie out of existence, Elliot. I
Dan's
zoned
showing
out
his
watching
hand
it.
here.
Oh, give me a third zone, Dan. I need it. Give me
The Twilight Zone is another zone. You just
That's
told me to
not-
give me one.
Oh, that's true. I should have specified I
Technically,
wanted another
there's
play
no-
on words
no
about the
play
movie.
on words,
about
there's
the
no
zone.
pun,
Yeah,
there's
I'll
no
be more
joke.
specific next time. That's a good note for me.
So, Stuart, you
Yes,
were the
Dan?
one who took notes on this movie because you, of course, love John
Yeah.
Krasinski and all that
I got to
John
get this out of the
Krasinski.
way. So we watched the movie If, which stands for Imaginary Friends. And it's it's from the imagination of John Krasinski. So
Written and directed.
Written and directed, and he's in it.
And I am known for not being a huge fan of this fellow's work.
And I find this personally hilarious because I have no opinion about John Krasinski one way or the other. So the fact that Stuart, it means so much to him to be bristling
Yeah.
at him, the same way that when my grandmother years ago, when she was still alive, she sent me a letter when George W. Bush was president that said, I've hated him more than any politician in my lifetime except Thomas Dewey. And I was like, all right, let's get into this. I've never heard anyone have an opinion about Thomas Dewey before. So
Well,
that's
what
how
was the dish on that?
she said he would say anything to get elected. So
Well, I gotta say, I used to be an Elliot, but after watching If, I'm swinging over to the Stewart side of the equation.
Wow,
but we'll
okay.
talk about it.
Yes. So we are talking about If. Okay. I do need to point out ahead of time. I don't like John Krasinski, and partially for plot reasons, almost every male character in this movie looks like John Krasinski, or at least some variation on a theme, and I'm not into it. Okay, let's see. Movie opens. There's a bunch of little notes in there. What, like cameos? What, Coney
Yeah,
Island? What's
empty
on there?
Brooklyn, not fun.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
All right. Fun's important. Okay. So the movie opens with very special If credits.
there's a kids painting style Paramount logo just to get
So
you
they
in the
are
mood.
all in there like, this is going to be a huge hit.
This will redefine our studio. And then we'll get purchased finally.
And it's always fun when a movie that doesn't do well has those, because you're like, oh, yeah, this is your Dark Universe moment.
Nothing beats that moment when that Dark Universe logo comes up and you're like, this is the one time you're going to use that. And you think that it's going to last a long time. Yeah.
So the movie opens with a family staying at their grandma's house. And by house, I mean Brooklyn Heights apartment that is incredible. That's the most believable imaginary thing in this movie, is this amazing apartment with like a beautiful view of the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm getting way in the weeds here, but
No, the Boston audience is going to love this. Yeah.
but it's just this amazing apartment. I love it. Okay, so this family's staying at their grandma's house, played by Fiona Shaw, and it's told from the perspective of a little girl, Elizabeth B., and her mother is dying of cancer, and John Krasinski is, I don't know, being a clown, goofing around.
Well, this is all shot. This is like a montage that's shown. It's got a filter on it as if it's like 70s home film, like it's a 16 millimeter film or an 8 millimeter film. But when their camcorder is clearly a DV camcorder, but they put like an old look on it to show that it was the past. But it was like a year ago, so I don't. But yeah, it's they're trying to cheer up their daughter while the mother slips away, and it could be very sad, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure your heartstrings were tugged.
I'm sure that they are trying to go for a like beginning of Up sort of.
Yes,
situation.
they even used the same composer to make the music in this movie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's not as
equally
effective.
successful.
Yeah.
So, the movie fades to black, and we get
They play
title.
Fade to Black by Metallica, and suddenly it kicks into a whole new gear.
The movie skips forward now. B is all grown up. She's all grown up. She's 12 years old now.
Yeah, she's not old. Let's be clear. No one on the Flophouse thinks 12 years old is all grown up. Nobody. She's a child.
Good save. Although
And a big theme of the movie is her recognizing that she is a child. Yeah.
She is like wearing this, like, I guess it's like.
Don't talk about what she's wearing.
Okay, come on. I'm not. It's like they're like overalls, but they're like styled so they're like wearing like suspenders. Like it's also whimsical. Like everyone in this movie like wears suspenders around and like is about to like dance with a lamp at.
There are times when this movie is trying so hard for the kind of effortless twee that Wes Anderson can just pull out of his butt at a moment's notice. Even to the point later on of a slow-mo walking sequence set to, I think, a song that he uses in one of the other movies, right? So, like, but he's not quite pulling it off. He's not pulling off the sad, beautiful of Up or the kind of beautiful twee of Wes Anderson. He's instead kind of Krasinskiing it, just kind of in the middle.
So we see B is grown up, like slightly grown up.
Yeah, slightly older.
A few years older. She doesn't think she's a kid anymore. However, she's back in Grandma's house. We believe some kind of time has passed, but it's weird that for some reason they begin in not their home and then she's back in I don't know.
For some reason, whenever someone in the family is sick and has to go to the hospital, they go to the grandma's house. And I get it now because she only has one parent, as we'll find that parent is in the hospital. When her dad was still around, I don't know why they went to the grandma's house to sit out this illness, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's a really nice apartment.
It is a very nice apartment.
I get the feeling that they used to live there when the mom was alive, and then they went back there for some reason, just I guess to like really like hammer home those feelings of like you might lose this parent too, kid. But like the weird thing about it is like like the grandmother is taking care of B, and Krasinski, who's in the the hospital for what they tweely call a broken heart, like he has some heart condition, is like
it broke.
I'm sure you'll get into this. I'm sorry to take over your, but like he's like go
Dan,
out there.
I love that you are so engaged with the plot of the movie that you can summarize it. So, Stuart, I apologize, but I'm quelling just seeing that my little boy grew up like this. Yeah,
I'm so like this baffles me because he's like, I want you to go out there and live life, and I'm like, this kid is 12. Like she spends so much of this movie unsupervised,
just wandering the streets of New York.
New York. I'm like, I guess she's out of school because of the sickness, but like the grandma's not looking after her. What's going on? Like, I don't think John Krasinski was like, yeah, just do whatever, kid.
The grandma's kind of constantly twittering with anxiety, and she has her own story that never gets told about why she has no confidence about anything. And at one point she's like, I hope you like this pizza. I got all the different kinds because I didn't know what you like. And it's like, Grandma, just ask your granddaughter what kind of pizza she wants you to order. Like, it's okay. Like,
family needs to talk to each other.
I don't know if kids have opinions on pizza.
Yeah. Kids are very reticent to share their thoughts about pizza with grown-ups.
So yeah, as we covered, she's staying with grandma, even though she's not a kid anymore. She insists, and her dad is in the hospital, and she visits her dad, and he's like does all kinds of like goofy magic tricks.
He does like a dance routine with his IV pole, like he's put a mop on it to look like a wig and googly eyes, and he's like doing like a Fred Astaire type dance number. And the whole time I was like, if you drop that and it just rips the IV right out of your arm, that's gonna hurt so bad. Yeah. But the nurse thinks it is adorable.
Yeah, the nurse played by, I forget the character's name, but from The Bear, the one of the...
I forget the character and the actress's name.
Okay.
But she's great in The Bear, and she's pretty good in this, too. And I'll say this right off the bat. Okay, you're going to hear us criticize this movie a lot, I think rightfully. But I think there are a number of very good performances in this movie. And the main girl is great, I think. I think she does a fantastic job. She's carrying this whole movie, and she does it really well. And it makes me wonder if John Krasinski's strength is directing actors and not... writing,
or the rest of it,
or other things.
Yeah.
But I think you get some good performances out of these actors.
Yeah.
No comment. And there's a line here where Bea is interacting with her dad, and she's like, "Life doesn't have to be fun." And I feel like that is the message, that is the thing that the movie has to beat out of her. They have to make her believe life is fun.
Well, and this is this movie, it's got a pro-fun and a pro-imagination message, which is great, but the fact that
it's not fun.
It's not fun. She's going through something traumatic. Like, she might lose her second parent, which are all these, and the idea that the movie is like, hey, smile on through it. You're not allowed to have these bad feelings. Like, that's a pretty toxic message. Yeah. Like, hey, kids, tamp it down. Shove it in, bottle it up. Keep that smile plastered on your face, We
got a note here. The nurse was Liza Colon Zayas. So
perfect pronunciation. She's great. I like her a lot.
Thing. I thought it was more
such an uncalled for roast.
I thought it was more important to credit her than I knew that the ire was going to come.
You're right.
So
yeah.
No rules.
No, you threw yourself on that name grenade, and I appreciate
Thank you.
it. Yeah.
So Bea goes back to her grandma's house. She goes through the old toys and stuff. She finds the old video camera that they recorded. A lot of footage of her dressed up as Tina Turner.
Which
is cool.
There's a thing that is very prevalent in movies now where modern day kids love the music that was current when the person making the movie did it.
Like in the 80s, everybody loved fucking music from the 50s.
It was all doo-wop stuff. That's true. And when our
everyone's
kids...
singing like Moni Moni and crap like that or whatever. Is that a 50s song or an 80s song? Did it all blend together in my brain?
But all time is one. We're just it's.
Well, it's also hard to say because so many bands from the 80s, because there were people who grew up earlier or listened to that music, did sort of retro 50s stylings. So it all mushes together.
You're talking to a Blondie fan. I know exactly. Yeah, they did a lot of that.
Well, we're getting lost in the sauce, guys. So she finds all this stuff. And then she goes to her bodega. This is another scene where every scene in Brooklyn is abandoned. She is like the only person ever
no one
walking
on the streets.
around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there'd be at least one weird guy yelling at her on the street.
Oh, Stuart.
Because she's like a little kid walking around by herself.
Did you notice the text at the beginning that said, P.S., this movie takes place right after the day of the comet?
Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense because the Janusz Kaminski cinematography is all sunbeams all the time.
Yeah.
There's just so much warm glow.
But the city is abandoned, deserted, still beautiful, but deserted. And this will come up when we get to the Coney Island sequence. I'll complain about this.
So she is being stalked by an animated bug lady.
That sounds so much more exciting than it is.
I know, and I'm like, it's not like Devora from Mortal Kombat, guys. Don't get excited. Yeah. It's just a normal bug lady voiced by Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah, I was like, fuck you, movie, for making me mad at Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah.
Hey, she's just got to get that paycheck, Dan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she's being stalked. Wait, what?
She's a flea bag.
Right.
Cool.
I'm sorry. I referenced the thing she's best known for. I'm sorry that confused you two guys.
You're right. She has experience playing
being a bag of fleas.
So this bug lady's name is Blossom, not the TV show Blossom, a different one.
Yeah, true. Good point.
And Bea notices her, but doesn't quite see her. And
it is very funny that the bug lady is not named Bea, but is named Blossom.
That's a good point. So she...
it's not that funny. It's
Stuart,
not like...
something tells me you don't think that was a very good point.
No, I'm pretty sure he liked it.
Okay.
So B like tries to follow Blossom back to, and she like what follows her back to an apartment above her apartment.
Her building, which I wasn't clear about at first.
Yeah.
It looked like she was sneaking into a different building, and it wasn't until later that I was like, oh, that's where she lives. Okay, so she didn't have to go outside at all.
The next day she goes and visits her dad. He does, like we know he's going to have a surgery. He set up some kind of a prank where it looks like he crawled out the window. He didn't. Don't worry, guys. And then
She meets her friend Benjamin, the kid with broken bones.
okay, yep. And that's the thing. My wife pointed out, like, would a kid with broken bones spend that much time in the hospital?
He seems to continually break them, so it's
Yeah.
possible they're breaking while he's there.
Or
They don't
is it
specifically.
because they're worried like his parents might?
Well, he's like, I break bones a lot, my arm, my leg. I'm like, yeah, the services should come and look at this family. Like, this is not.
Well, I think it's implied. It's never said explicitly, but I'm like, is this like a Mr. Glass situation?
Oh, he's
Is
a super
there-
villain. Yeah, okay.
That's a
yeah.
technical term.
Yeah.
This is the hardest part of my job as a doctor,
afraid,
but I'm afraid your son has a Mr. Glass situation.
What? It's like, like the film Unbreakable.
Yeah, I want you to not like the Glass family from the Salinger stories. No. This is
Let me be clear. When I say like the film Unbreakable, not Bruce Willis. Your son is very brave.
the opposite of that. Yeah, I got it. The Mr. Glass character in Unbreakable. You understand. You've seen Unbreakable. So, I don't mean that he's unbreakable. No, I understand you're telling me my son is not unbreakable. He's very breakable. I understand that.
I get it.
Is there
He's breakable. He's obsessed with the tallest building
Imagine
in Philadelphia.
Kimmy
but he's never going to get
The
there.
opposite of Kimmy Schmidt is what your son is.
I understand. Because she's unbreakable. Okay, is there another doctor I can talk to?
I'm not a doctor.
So that night, B follows the animated Bug Lady Blossom and Ryan Reynolds playing a character named Cal. He's not playing himself. And again, he looks like John Krasinski. And we're going to find out later. I'm going to spoil the twist.
Yeah.
We're going to find
spoil
out
it.
later that Ryan Reynolds is her imaginary friend. And I know.
I know. It is much less of a shock if you're watching the movie, because kind of after the second or third scene, you're like, can he just tell her he's her imaginary friend? Because she's like, I never had an imaginary friend. He's like, you didn't, huh? Or someone's like, you guys make a great team. And he's like, yeah, we did once. And it's like, either you dated or you were her imaginary friend.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, our friend Matt Carmen, who does the tech work for our show, who puts together a lot of the presentations and such for
Part
us.
car, part man, all Matt.
He texted me. I was venting my spleen about my ire about it.
Got to do it every 6 months, people. Just to keep it clean, yeah.
And I referenced the twist. He's like, yeah, but that twist, I was very happy when it happened. And I'm like, was it because it means that this young child was not unsupervised, just wandering around with a man for the entire movie? He's like,
No,
yes, that
instead
was
she was
it.
wandering around by herself, talking to nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why no one was bothering her, because they thought that they thought a child with serious mental instabilities was wandering the streets.
And so, as an imaginary friend, he's kind of like a clown figure, and he looks like her dad, and her dad is kind of a clown guy. So, did John Krasinski make a move, and he's like, you know what? Ryan Reynolds looks just like me.
Maybe if it was a richer film, I think they could have. That would be a deliberate thing, and they would play off of it more clearly. That she has, maybe even that her dad is too jokey. He doesn't engage with her actual emotions. And so she's created an imaginary friend who can do that almost as a way to give her dad permission. He doesn't have to do that anymore. Like, that's a better version of this movie, But
Yeah, that's a pretty meaningful interpretation. Okay,
but there's nothing in the text of this movie that supports that reading at all.
so she followed. Now ignore all the stuff I said about him being an imaginary friend, because he looks like a normal human man. So she follows. She follows
With
him.
suspenders. I mean,
Yes,
like he's.
I
not-
guess he's not that normal. So she follows him through the streets of Brooklyn with an animated bug, and he climbs.
Bug
She
lady.
watches him break into a kid's bedroom, and at this point, I'm like, I think this is not cool.
No.
Like, is he the villain? So he breaks
That
into
would
this
be
kid's
amazing if he was a child snatcher and she's like, yeah, I'll help you. My life's falling apart. Yeah, and it's just the rest of them is them and kidnapping children so the bug lady can suck their blood out of their
I mean,
bodies.
that's like a Roald Dahl book.
yeah, that's true.
So she.
Oh, I'm Mr. Kid Snatcher. Oh, I'll help you. Yeah.
So Ryan
Champion of
Reynolds
the
breaks
world.
into a little kid's bedroom while they're asleep, and we're introduced to the first large imaginary creature, Blue, who's a giant purple fuzzy guy. He's on all the posters.
I believe when introduced, he does say, "I'm blue," but then fails to follow it up with the proper next phrase, which is "dabu dee dabu die, dabu dee dabu die." So that's another ding on the movie right there. That's
I don't know how I didn't see that coming.
Like it's like a
I-
fucking rake is on the ground.
You just keep
See
stepping on it. Literally, the moment that character was introduced, I was like, "This, I know what I'm going to say."
It's like, that's a rap live show, baby.
Right
so
over the
yeah.
plate.
So Blue, voiced by Steve Carell, and Ryan Reynolds and Blossom all leave. Bee sees them. She is overwhelmed and faints, only to wake up in this grown man's apartment, surrounded by animated characters. They basically explain the rules of this world. Dan, do you want to explain? You love background and rules.
Yeah, you love lore, yeah.
I mean, this does introduce something that makes me very angry about the movie, which is Blue is worried. Purple, by the way. They did talk about that later, or did we? Anyway,
Yeah, he's purple, and he goes, "Oh, my kid was colorblind." Okay. I don't-
Blue
Yeah.
says like, oh, like once the kids stop seeing us, if they stop believing in us, like eventually we disappear. And like the point, I guess, of trying to break into this thing is like, oh, if I get a new kid to have me be the imaginary friend, I don't have to disappear. Except, like later on, we see what appears to be a retirement community for imaginary friends who are in no apparent danger of disappearing at any moment.
Not at all. There's
So-
it seems like that is a specific anxiety only Blue has, and otherwise, imaginary friends just retire and then have fun on their own afterwards. And so the impetus to get them new kid hosts for their parasitic lifestyle.
Yeah.
There's kind of low stakes, I would say, since the imaginary friends are all like, "Oh yeah, we could have new kids. That'd be great. Yeah, sure, okay, yeah."
So why does something like Monsters Inc. work and this does not work?
I mean, there's a number of reasons Monsters Inc. work. This doesn't. Well, okay.
Why-
Imagine,
Hold on, let me
imaginative
pull down
spark,
this
funny
chart.
jokes, strong characters. Well, here's a couple reasons. I think one, the mechanics of that world are stated clearly and consistent throughout. They are powered by screams. They've got to get kids to scream, but they've been led to believe that kids are dangerous for them. So every time you go into that kid's room to get a scream, that's what's brilliant about the movie is it's like kids are afraid of monsters, but what if it was that the monsters were really afraid of the kids? That's a great way to do it, as opposed to this, which is like, what if imaginary friends were real and yes. And I found myself watching it, I'm like, this doesn't have the emotional complexity of Drop Dead Fred,
Yeah.
which handles similar material,
And it's like they're all sad because the kids have forgotten them. And I like, look, as a metaphor, I can map that onto other things and be like, okay, yeah, like I would see being forgotten by your kid is sad. But in real life, I'm like, yes, your children, like they forget imaginary friends at a certain point, and I reject the message of this movie that adults also need their imaginary friends at all times.
I would tell you that a large part of the problem with the country right now is a lot of adults do feel like they need imaginary
Now, do
friends, and they have used real people as their stand-ins for those imaginary
Yeah,
friends.
I mean, I think we're all familiar with our parasocial relationship friends.
No, you're all great. You're
No, wonderful. I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry for you guys.
No.
You guys. I mean, the other guys. So
To a
this
person.
made me wonder, did either of you have imaginary friends growing up? I did not. Maybe because my life was just too fun,
No, not like a specific one that stayed the same. I would imagine things, but not. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No, I mean, I had a little brother and we just beat each other up.
Because when I was a kid, I always wanted an imaginary friend like in the cartoons, where you think they're real. And I could never buy into that level of fake reality, which is ironic since as an adult, I constantly think that I'm seeing things out of the corner of my eyes that are not there.
Oh, you are. You're being followed.
What?
You watched that videotape I sent you, and that's the.
That was you who sent that to me?
Look, it was you or me.
I thought that was Michael Haneke who sent me that.
What a weird mashup that was.
Yeah.
So, B runs into Blue at the hospital. And she basically talks to this guy who's Steve Carell, and he's a giant monster.
And he sneezes a lot, and I think Blue is supposed to be kind of like adorably clumsy and goofy, but he comes on. The characters he's like not clumsy enough to really cause problems that are funny, but the characters treat him as if he is a constant like annoyance to be around, but nothing he's doing is that annoying. So there's one part where he's about to say, this is in the trailers, he's about to say the word if, and she goes, don't say if, and he's holding the word in, and he's like about to explode because he's holding it in, and she's like, okay, say it, and he says if, and the whole time I'm like, why did you not want him to say if?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. It's not an annoying thing that he's doing.
This is a joke without a setup. Because,
Yes.
like, if he had been saying if over and over and over again, perhaps it's still not funny, but you understand why it's happening.
Or if it was like an annoyingly silly word. If it was like, well, us giggly gloops, we're always. And
Yeah.
if she was like, please don't say giggly
Please,
gloop. Like,
it hurts it clangs on the ears.
yeah.
Yeah, just make them like Minions or some shit, right? Kids like that.
Kids love. Speaking for my children, kids love Minions. Considering I took them to see Despicable Me 4 because they demanded it, and they spent the entire car ride home trying to decide which was their favorite Minion, and they couldn't get it. They kept changing their minds.
Do you think, like in an original version of the script, the ifs were a lot more like Minions, and Steve Carell got involved? He's like, nope.
No.
You can't fuck with my money
These
train,
guys
baby.
again. I'm tired of them. I'm guessing the original version of the script is pretty close to the shooting script.
And by that I mean the first draft.
Yeah.
Okay, so B and Blue come up with the plan that she is going to help all these retired ifs whose kids have like aged out of being their friend. That she's going to help them all find placements with new kids. And Ryan Reynolds agrees to this for some reason. So they get on a
Ryan Reynolds spends the entire movie being like, ugh, please don't. Oh, no.
Yeah, at one
Okay.
point he's like, I don't know, that's above my pay grade. And I'm like, do you have a job? What's going on?
There's never a reason for him to do anything, and there's never a reason for him to not want to do anything.
Yeah.
There's a lack of motivation.
Also, the reveal that he's her imaginary friend
Spoiler alert.
does not explain his general reticence throughout the whole rest of the
Well,
movie.
I don't know, that he finds it all painful. I think that's what you're supposed to get, is this is all painful for him because he can't find the courage to tell her, I was your
Okay.
imaginary friend.
All right,
'cause
maybe-
he's so hurt
Ellie is
by it.
adding so much more depth in this movie.
I say it because like there's so much in this movie that like all the characters behave in ways where they're like, you guys get it. You understand why we're acting like this, right? Like, and I was like, no, I don't. This movie will not stop explaining itself to me, but I don't understand any of it.
Yeah, I think with him, I think that is in there that you're supposed to say, why is he so against all this? Oh, it's because he feels like she abandoned him. Until that moment, you're like, why? Like, what? What's your attitude problem? You're hanging out with cartoons all day. You have the greatest life in the world. You live for free in the attic in this beautiful building in Brooklyn.
And speaking of moments, we're finally at it. That's right. Our characters take the F train all the way to Coney Island, Brooklyn.
Island. Yeah. There's a big picture of Coney Island behind us. That's why there's a
Where
big
they
building.
go underneath a...
Whoa, wait a second. Hold on. Before they go to Coney Island, it's all locked. Luna Park is all closed. Coney Island, I guess nobody uses it anymore, which is weird because people do use it all the time. Like again, they act as if Coney Island is like one of those abandoned amusement parks that Batman fights at. Like that. Oh, nobody's been around here for a
Common
long
City
time.
has like 20 abandoned
yeah.
amusement.
The rides aren't, they don't run the rides off season, but like they don't lock it up either. You can
No.
go down there, you can walk along the boardwalk.
If there's any place that in the last 10 or so years, 15 years, has been revitalized far than it was for years, it's Coney. So it's very weird for them to choose such let's say, iconic amusement park for it to be like, yeah, it used to be full of people, but nobody rides the Cyclone anymore. And it's like, dude, I ride the Cyclone. Like,
maybe the problem is we're coming here in January, Ryan Reynolds.
well, that's part of it, yeah. I wonder if John Krasinski did his location scouting in the winter and was like, great, Coney Island, abandoned, nobody's using the rides.
So underneath the carousel at Coney Island, we find the retirement home for imaginary friends, which is basically set up like an idyllic retirement home filled with like various wacky characters, and that means lots of cameos. That's right. We have George Clooney, Awkwafina, Emily Blunt. Oh man, how many more?
How did he get
Bradley
Emily
Cooper, Matt Damon, Bill Hader. Oh, my wife's favorite comedian, Sebastian Maniscalco.
Who is Sebastian Maniscalco?
I don't know. One of the ones, like maybe the little dog that
Okay.
flies around with
maybe.
the one with the like Italian American accent. Richard Jenkins, Keegan Michael Key. Oh man, how many more of these?
He never does
Maloney.
voices.
Jon Stewart.
John Stewart's in this.
Yeah, Jon Stewart has a few lines as a robot.
And I will say that if you are going to be filling out your movie with, I don't know, like voice cameos from people, maybe instead of getting big movie stars, you should consider getting podcasters. I sincerely believe, though, getting niche people will like. It's not like people are going to be like, "Oh, Brad Pitt does one line in this movie."
No,
Let's
but
go see it.
it's there for people to have that shock of recognition where they're like, "Oh, I know that voice."
They're not like, "Oh, that's the ladies from Normal Gossip." I think that would get people to see it. Okay. And at the heart of this complex is an old teddy bear dog. Teddy bear.
He's a teddy bear, yeah.
Voiced by Louis Gossett.
There's no dog
Louis
aspect
Gossett
to him.
Jr. playing
Yeah.
a character named Louis, I believe.
Yes.
I appreciate you telling me that because I was too lazy to look it up.
That's why at the end of the movie it says in memory of our friend Louis Gossett Jr. and shows that teddy bear.
Oh, I turned the film off immediately. I pulled a Stewart on this one. I'm like,
okay.
as soon as it fades out, I'm like, that's it. If consigned to the dustbin of history.
So he seems to be the leader. He's described as being 92 years old, which is a little weird because I'm like, well, do they get older? What's just like
He does move like an old man. Was he always an imaginary old man bear? Like maybe.
I don't
Or did he
understand it.
age? It's an interesting question.
But he explains to B that this retirement home you can control with your imagination. So yes, go on. So she starts changing the world around her, changing the floors, making things turn into, I don't know, like outer space. Ryan Reynolds is running away from this, terrified. She stalks after him like fucking Tetsuo.
This is the part.
Oh, if only she became Tetsuo at that moment. She's just going, her limbs are just bursting into flesh mechanical bubbles, and there's just telekinetic energy flying everywhere.
I mean, it's a much better story about the horrors of adolescence and your body changing.
Yeah, B flies up to the space satellite and shoots a laser at Brooklyn.
And just puts a hole in the moon.
When
Yeah.
I talk about stuff in the movie that I'm like, I don't understand why it's happening like this. This is one of the things where it's like, he's like, oh, you can change with your mind. And Ryan Reynolds is like, oh, no. And he starts running.
He's running
down
around
the
going,
hall,
no. Whoa.
change around. And I'm like, why? Like, you took her to this imaginary place where you can use your imagination. Like, why are you scared of this all of a sudden? Why are you acting like this? And then there's a long sequence, which honestly doesn't make any sense, but in a way is the only part of the movie I kind of enjoyed because at least on a visual level, stuff is happening and a Tina Turner song plays. I'm like, I'm enjoying this Tina Turner song.
Not since Beyond Thunderdome have you had both of those things at the same time.
And Ryan Reynolds is like everybody's outfits keep changing. There's a big dance number set to "What Better Be Good to Me" by Tina Turner, where Ryan Reynolds looks like the cool dad from My Two Dads.
Paul Reiser, yeah.
And it is a moment where I'm like, I love Tina Turner.
I think he's the cool one.
Yeah.
But this feels like an odd choice for a kid to like a weird Tina
Yes,
Turner
because
song.
this is what John Krasinski likes,
Yeah.
or someone his age. This is the movie equivalent. This is going to sound harsh. I don't mean it as harsh as it sounds, maybe, because I know this movie's heart is in the right. Its broken heart is in the right place.
Of World War II.
Yeah, this is the movie equivalent of genocide. No, it's the movie equivalent of the kind of toy store they have in Brooklyn, and I know because I used to live there, where you walk in, all the toys are beautiful, they're all made out of wood, they all cost $25 to $45, they don't do much, but they look gorgeous, they would look beautiful on a shelf in a child's room, and parents love them, and kids do not like them. They are not attracted to them, they don't want to play with them, they do nothing. This movie's kind of like that, where it's like, here's a kid's movie, but it's really like, it's for a parent's emotions. Like, it's for a parent's feelings more than it's for a kid. And my kids really wanted to watch this movie with me. They kept saying, are you watching If? Can we go see If? I was like, this movie better not stick around in the theaters because I don't want to take them to go see If. And I'm like, I'm doing it for the podcast. Can we watch it with you? No, I have to do it while I'm doing the dishes. You're going to
Get back in your cage.
Yeah, get in your cage. Yeah. And while I was watching it, I was like, I think they'd be really...
We want to spend time with you, Dad.
No. Here are the lyrics to Cat's Cradle. This is your life now. It's a cycle of abandonment. Anyway, While I was watching the movie, I was like, I think my kids would be really bored by this because this is an adult's idea of what a kid's movie should be like. The same way that when that Marcel the Shell movie came out, I was like, this is a very sweet movie. I'm going to take my kids to it. And they were like, like boring. Like there's a certain type of movie or thing where adults are like, kids love this. And then kids don't love it. And the flip side of that is weeks earlier on Father's Day, I took my kids to see a screening of E.T., which my older son had seen, my younger one had seen before. And that movie destroys a child. Like, a child is so sad afterwards, but afterwards they're like, I hate that movie, but I love it. And I'm like, yeah, there you go. That's a movie for kids.
There you go.
You made you feel something.
They're like delicious tears.
Yeah.
Take my trauma, kid.
Yeah. I'm just licking the tears off their face. Yeah. Precious salt. But this.
Did we mention Elliot is sort of a mythical figure?
Yeah. I'm a salt
lives off the
vampire.
misery of children.
Yeah, you can read about it in Persian mythology. But you're right that in this sequence, this is not stuff that makes sense for a kid to be into. But also, it doesn't make sense why Ryan Reynolds is like, oh no, except the idea that it hurts him to see him doing that. But also, here's my main problem with it. Okay.
Oh, we're getting into it finally.
One of my problems. The point of this movie seemed to be these imaginary friends are going to teach this girl how to have fun again. Her life has been hard. It is time for her to learn how to use her imagination and be playful. But halfway through the fucking movie, it's like, she loves it. Ryan Reynolds needs to learn a lesson about being playful. And it's like, who is this movie about? Like, not since Big Trouble in Little China has the sidekick become the main character in like this.
Well, and also the idea is that it's like, hey, you need to have fun again, so you're going to have fun by getting a fucking job.
Yeah, that's true.
So if
capitalism.
So if this is an adult's version idea of a kid's movie, what's a kid's idea of an adult movie?
A kid's idea of an adult movie is probably a whole movie of people talking about politics and reading the newspaper and kissing. But not kissing open mouth, kissing closed mouth.
Yeah.
Probably they all imagine my dinner with Andre. They're like, it's just people talking.
You know
That's
what?
all it is.
I think that is what kids, and I mean, they're lucky because My Dinner with Andre is a great movie.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, it was like, there were two default references for movies that people don't like. Ishtar was just what you mentioned if it was supposed to be really bad, and My Dinner with Andre was if a movie is really boring. And Seventh Seal was if it's a foreign movie. Every foreign movie is the Seventh Seal. Every grown-up boring movie is My Dinner with Andre. And then finally, as a young adult watching My Dinner with Andre and being like, I'm riveted by this movie. This is an amazing movie.
It is.
So B and gang.
Seven Seal's good too.
B and gang interview a bunch of different ifs with the intention of introducing them to her friend Daniel. Benjamin, sorry.
No, that's all right. I don't need an imaginary friend, Stuart. I got you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man.
I mean, Stuart, you are kind of transitioning slowly into being an imaginary friend. Yeah.
I kind of always
You're getting cooler over time.
Thank you. So she keeps trying to introduce them to Benjamin, and he can't see them. It doesn't seem to work. So she has to, and this is also a great venue for all these cameos that we're getting. It doesn't work out, though, so she ends up going out to the Coney Island Boardwalk, which is, again, totally abandoned, except for Louis the bear if.
I mean, maybe this takes place during COVID, and that's why there's nobody out on the streets.
And he explains to her that, like, things that happen in
don't
your life.
follow up that suggestion.
We don't need to walk down COVID Avenue. We don't.
I mean, if you're going somewhere, please take another route than down COVID Avenue.
Dan, I just know that when we start
Take
talking
Electric
about
Avenue, it's more
politics,
fun.
when we start talking about COVID, Dan starts getting into his anti-vax nonsense.
That's true. That's true. We don't need that.
No, quit trying to paint me as the running gag.
I'm not a record. I don't need a needle stuck in me. All right, Dan. Okay.
All right.
That's Dan's new character, the anti-vaxxer who's really into vinyl.
I just got a tetanus shot 2 days ago when Stuart was like, "Oh," I'm like, "Ow, ow, ow."
Imagine if you could get a Tetsuo shot and you turned into Tetsuo from Akira.
Oh, sick. So she's hanging out with this old bear imaginary friend, and he explains that, like,
imagine all the things you can do with an imaginary friend, like sit on a bench and talk.
He's like, as long as you can remember it, it still exists forever. And then all of a sudden, the boardwalk is populated with people in old-timey outfits, and all the various imaginary friends are wearing also old-timey outfits, and they have a really good time hanging out in Coney Island. And it's great because finally people are in Coney Island. she goes to see her grandma, and her grandma explains that she used to be really into dancing, but she kind of gave up on that dream when she realized that she, I don't know, couldn't be a professional dancer or something.
She says, like, I just got too old or something like that, you know.
And so we learn that Blossom, the animated bug, is her imaginary friend. So they basically like trick her into dancing by playing the perfect record.
The soundtrack to Spartacus, yes, they put it on.
And so Fiona Shaw does a really nice dance number that's very overlit by Janusz Kaminski. And then Blossom is dancing in the background. They kind of dance together. And then like Blossom starts to glow like she's becoming Super Saiyan.
Yeah, I will say, this is one of the... There's a couple scenes in the movie where I was like, if the movie was more like this more often, this could be a really good movie. Like, I find something very beautiful in this because even though it's pretty syrupy, they don't overdo it in the same way, and it's not whimsical. It's like this old woman thinks that she's literally dancing like nobody's watching, and that means she can dance the way she did when she was a ballerina, and Blossom does not enter into a hilarious synchronized like routine where they're dancing together and like trading off fives and stuff like that, but instead like I thought this was very sweet.
Are you talking shit about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie we just watched?
Not specifically, but kind of.
Yeah, I do agree.
And also, she's not dancing to like a pop song from the 70s or something like that. You know?
Spoiler alert, I did not care for this movie at all, but there are a couple parts in the second half of the movie where the movie does not overplay its hand, and those are the only parts where I'm like, oh, okay, like, you're coming close to getting an emotion out of me.
Yeah. But then Blossom glows, but like, that's it. It's not like her grandmother is like, Blossom, you're back.
Yeah, for like at the end, she totally does.
Yeah.
So
at the end, we're not there yet. Yeah.
So they have a new strategy. They're not going to try and find new kids to pair them with. They're going to try and make these old people remember that they like their imaginary friends or something. So they go and find...
Sorry, kids. So once again, the boomers are going to take all the stuff and leave you with nothing.
Which is the thing, is that, again...
Imaginary friends, we don't want to let go of those. We'll keep that. And superheroes. We'll make them our own. Sorry, kids. Enjoy living in a climate-depleted wasteland with no new IP.
Like a Rumpelstilts boomer.
Yeah. Let's stop making Star Wars for kids now. Let's make it super gross.
Star Wars has got to be gritty because I'm a grown-up and I don't want to read books.
I don't want to watch My Dinner with Andre.
I don't want to. Why can't I have a cool, sophisticated verse story about mutant turtles who do martial arts?
I mean, the first Ninja Turtles movie is pretty cool. Okay, so they go to find Blue's friend, which is
Bobby Moynihan.
Bobby Moynihan playing kind of a nervous character named Jeremy. They trick him into smelling croissants, and then Blue and him connect over him having to have a really important meeting.
Wait, I want to slow down just a moment on this. One, because I think Bobby Moynihan this is a small part.
He's
very good. I thought he was really good in it. But also, they're like, okay, his family owned a bakery, and his favorite thing as a kid was croissants because it was a snack he could always had because they were making it. So he's at a coffee shop and he goes to the bathroom because he's practicing for a business sales pitch, and he's like, "Get it together, man! Get it together! You can do this!" And Blue, is embarrassed and can't approach him in the men's bathroom at a coffee shop, the place everyone wants to meet their imaginary friend. And then they're like, "Here's what we'll do."
And that's a spacious bathroom in a coffee shop in Midtown.
A homeless person should be living in that bathroom. So they go. They're like, "We'll follow him to where he's doing the presentation." B's like, I'll just sit there and eat a croissant. And when he smells it, just like the end of Ratatouille, it's going to take him back to his childhood and you'll connect. And I was like, I mean, he was just in the coffee shop, so he's probably smelling croissants in there.
I think there were those specific croissants from the specific...
From his family's bakery?
I don't know,
They got it within minutes. But
I'm not John Krasinski.
Make it something harder to smell than a croissant, which is everywhere.
Yeah,
he must be smelling it all the time. Like... at least make it like like some kind of fancy French cookie. Make it a macaron or something like that. Something that like they only sell at most places and not every place.
They were afraid if they made it a Madeleine, it would.
It's a little on the nose.
The estate of Proust would sue them.
Yeah, they'd be sued by Proust Inc. It's like, you know what? As a kid, he lived next to a tunnel, so the sound of honking horns really reminds me of this. So we'll have him in
Elliot,
your
we're
car.
getting
We'll honk
so
the
close
horn,
to the end.
and
We
it's
gotta-
like you mean that sound he's going to hear every
I have a
day,
ton
all the
left,
time.
actually.
No,
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to slow this down.
Look at the no. Look at
Oh, no,
So they're,
I forgot about the clock.
so they're celebrating their newfound success. Cal is finally like loosening up. He's dancing. That's Ryan Reynolds. They think they're doing a great job. Unfortunately, when they get back to the apartment, Grandma's nervous because there was a problem at the hospital of some kind. Uh-oh. Don't worry, it's not really a problem because they show up at the hospital. He's just recovering. He's in a huge hospital room. It's amazing.
This is the first time that John Krasinski's character is wearing a hospital gown as well. Up to this point, he has been just hanging around in the hospital in his regular street clothes all the time, as if he's trying to convince them he's a visitor and can leave whenever he wants.
I mean, it's a good trick.
doing goofs and dancing around with this IV bag. I don't think that like hospitals like just have you there for like weeks on end beforehand if you're like okay like
Usually
that.
your pre-surgery time in the hospital is not like, an entire week of just hanging out. Like, unless maybe the doctor was just busy and they kept rescheduling the surgery. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't seem like he really needs to be in the hospital all that time.
That's why hospitals are so expensive these days. So her dad is recovering. He's asleep. So
Because John Krasinski's using them up. Sorry, we don't have any free rooms. John Krasinski's just hanging out.
he's just doing bits.
He just wants to do
You might
goofs.
remember him from The Office or Leatherheads. Well, probably not Leatherheads, but The Office.
You remember he's Reacher. No, not that
Leatherhead.
Reacher.
No, he's
oh, no,
the
he's
other
not
one.
Reacher. He's Jack. What is he? Jack
Ryan.
Jack Ryan. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
the CIA shill. So B, is trying to connect with her father who's asleep, and she basically monologues and talks about her entire life story. It's one of those moments where it's clearly like, I don't know, one of my issues is that it's like this is a child character
Yes.
who everything she says and does is like a little adult.
She's wise beyond her years. If the movie was consistent, she would be like, we'd see that she's kind of trying too hard to be a grown-up, but instead she's just a precocious kid
Yeah.
who just talks beyond her years. Yeah.
Okay, so she talks to her dad, and then he wakes up, and it's great. He's fine. And then when she
Basically
turns
tells him
around,
a story about how she needs her dad.
yeah, then like she turns around, like all the imaginary friends are gone, and then she goes back to the apartment to go talk to Ryan Reynolds, and he's not even there. And she goes up in there, and it's like totally empty. There's nobody.
There hasn't been a Ryan Reynolds here for 40 years.
She goes to the cemetery, sees his grave. The suspenders are on the grave.
Yeah, she cries a single tear. Elliot licks it for the salt.
Oh, precious salt. The salt of the young is the best. Fresh salt, innocent salt.
So everybody's happy. They're packing up. She finds a box of kid stuff, including a drawing she did when she was a child that includes her imaginary friend, Calvin the Clown. What? Ryan Reynolds was an imaginary fucking friend?
All this time,
So she goes back up to that. She goes back up to the attic storage room with the drawing. And at this point, I'm like, is she going to do some like Hellraiser stuff and bring him back?
yeah, she needs flesh to bring back Cal.
She
Yeah.
doesn't do that. Instead, she turns around and he's there with all the imaginary friends. He's dressed up like a clown. She like
Except
takes.
he's not. It's like he's supposed to be a clown, but he doesn't have clown makeup. He's just wearing a
you're
top
not-
hat and big gloves.
He doesn't like to mess up his
tuxedo.
face. Even as Deadpool, he looks normal to me. Okay, so this is a personal problem I have with fucking Deadpool, okay? If he's not going to be grosser than Darkman, I don't see what the problem is. So
That was in Darkman's contract. Nobody can be grosser than him.
So she takes the flower. He starts to glow like a Super Saiyan. I don't know the benefits here. She gives him a hug. That's when they play When I Was Younger, and I'm like, fuck you, movie. It's such an on-the-nose fucking needle drop. It sucks. And then we get a montage of various adults running into their past imaginary friends, which are all characters we have previously seen, whether they were a receptionist or a guy working at a bodega. It does not make any sense. Like, there's no epiphany for them. They just run into their imaginary friends.
And some of them are happy, some of them are frightened. But
Yeah, because
there's-
like a little ghost that speaks with Christopher Maloney's voice shows up, I'd be kind of scared.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that because I was like, oh, the movie's over.
yeah, no. You gotta give it that last. You know that there are scenes after the credits sometimes.
I look. Here's the thing.
Oh, and- yeah.
I watched. Maybe my ire for If was. I watched
If ire?
on the train to Boston, and we didn't have an easy trip to Boston. Our original train was canceled. We got stuck on a later train. In the meantime, we waited in a waiting room where there was a domestic disturbance that had to be broken up by redcaps. It was
only in New York.
A stressful day, and then I had to watch The Whimsy of If. So once it was done, I'm like,
that should have lifted you out of that. You should have been like, there is joy in the world. Yeah.
And how does that look on your phone? Pretty good, or?
Yeah. Oh boy, gorgeous. I
think it's time for Final Judgments.
Final Judgments.
Final ifments.
Is this a good, bad movie, a bad movie, or a movie we kind of liked? As I said, did not care for this. It is weird to me that there are movies far more morally questionable, far sleazier that I love, and then this movie made me angry, and I wanted to discard it.
I feel like that says more about you than about the movie.
Well, because it is so desperate to tug at the heartstrings, and here's my thing about it is the movie wants to make you feel childlike wonder, and that is its goal, and that's its only goal. It has a feeling it wants to elicit, and it's trying to do that without realizing that in storytelling, sure, that can be a side effect. That can be something that you hope that the movie creates in you, but you do that by focusing on the characters, building an emotional connection or whatever. You can't just hammer wonder, you're feeling childlike wonder, and that's what If felt like to me. So I wanted to snap my phone and throw it off the train.
Wow, you're breaking your own things.
I know.
It's like when the FBI agents are going into the houses in Goodfellas and the housewives are spitting on the floor, spitting on their own carpets. I don't understand why. I'd make them coffee,
Elliot, let's do a reverse shit sandwich because I think that you are the easiest on this. So
yes.
You can go in the middle.
There's a time in my life, I think, when I would have been like, fuck this movie. I'm Dan McCoy.
Forget about it.
Wait, what were you me?
I kept, yeah, I was you a while ago, before we peed in that fountain together.
Okay.
But there was while I was watching it, I was like, this movie is failing at what it's trying to do. I find it very saccharine. I find it to be it's messy, and it's unpleasant in that way. That, like Dan said, it's trying to make you feel a feeling, and you're not feeling it. So it keeps doing the same thing. Like a guy with a crush on a girl, and she says no, and he's like, I just have to figure out the right way to ask her, and he won't stop. That's kind of what it feels like when you're watching it. But like that lonely guy, I feel like John Krasinski's heart is in the right place. He just does not know how to do what he's trying to do. And so it's I could not help feeling, it's not as creepy as that guy who keeps asking out the girl, but it's a bad analogy. But I couldn't, while I was watching it, I was like, what he's trying to do is not a bad thing, but it's creating the opposite feeling in me. So maybe I was a little softer on it just because I get it. Sometimes when you're a parent, you want to make something for your kids, and you make something that is not good, and they don't like it, but you're still trying. So the whole time I was like, I was really having one of those bless his heart, he means well. It did not feel mercenary or kind of cynical in the way a lot of children's entertainment is, and so maybe that's why I was feeling a little softer on it.
I think that's fair. I still didn't like it. I would say if you're going to watch, if you want to watch a movie about kids kind of dealing with magical and whimsy, potentially, imaginary characters to help them get over a parent being in the hospital, just watch fucking Totoro, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. The fact that what he's trying to do has been done before hurts this movie. But even John Krasinski's probably not I'm the next Miyazaki. That's.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it's a bad movie. Do not watch.
Okay.
Have you been looking for a new podcast all about nerdy pop culture? Well, I have just the thing for you. Secret Histories of Nerd Mysteries.
Secret Histories of Nerd Mysteries is a weekly pop culture history podcast hosted by me, host Alston.
And me, host Brenda. We've already tackled mysteries such as what happened to the puppets from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Is Snoopy Mexican? And why do people hate Barney so much?
From theme parks to cartoons to 80s, 90s, and 2000s nostalgia, we tackle it all.
Check us out every Tuesday on MaximumFun.org and wherever you get podcasts.
Hey, this is Mike Cavalon,
Ifewadiwe,
and Sierra Kato,
the hosts of TV Chef Fantasy League.
where we apply fantasy sports rules to cooking competition shows.
We're not professional chefs or fantasy sports bros.
Just three comedians who love cooking shows and winning.
We'll cover Top Chef, Master Chef, Great British Bake Off, whatever's in season, really.
Ooh, you know chefs love cooking whatever's in season.
We draft a team of chefs at the top of every series.
And every week we recap the episode and assign points based on how our chefs did.
And at the end of the season, we crown a winner.
You can even play along at home if you want.
Or you can just listen to us like a regular podcast about cooking shows. That's cool too.
Subscribe to TV Chef Fantasy League on MaximumFun.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, it's Dan breaking in on this live show to say that if you would like to see us live but don't live in one of the places we have been able to get to so far, we will try and get to more places, then maybe it would interest you to know that we are coming back with Flop TV, which is our 6 monthly 1 hour-ish video live streams from September 2024 to February 2025. On the first Saturday of each month, we are going to be broadcasting live with a series of video stream shows about bad, or at least, very silly sequels. If you go to theflophouse.simpletix.com, you can get individual show tickets for $7 or $35 for the whole season, plus some small ticketing fees. And that's a price break on the season pass, the equivalent of one episode for free. All of the shows will stay available to watch on demand until the end of February 2025. So if you want to catch up later in the run, you can get a season pass halfway through and get access to everything you missed. Halfway through is just an example. You can do it right up to the end. We've kept the format that you guys enjoyed last time, but we've added a few new fun bits we're excited for you to see. And like I said, this season is all sequels. Number 2s. We're talking RoboCop 2, Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, Caddyshack 2, Highlander 2 The Quickening, Ski School 2, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. Again, there's more details and tickets available at theflophouse.simpletix.com. And if you want to know about stuff like this, but also side projects like Elliot's comics work, Stuart's Twitch streams, my newsletter, producer Alex's new album, and also on top of that, get some silly Flophouse-related writing in your inbox a couple of times a month, why not go over to flophousepodcast.com and put your name in the email box on the front page, and you will get that newsletter. It is called Flop Secrets. That is a pop secret pun. I'm explaining it to you. But you know what? We don't just promote ourselves. The Flophouse is mostly supported by listeners like you, but we're also sponsored in part this week by Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing your brand with Squarespace, it is easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything all on your terms. Your terms. Don't take other people's terms. Your terms. What are some features that Squarespace offers? Well, the new guided design system, Squarespace. Why do I always do that? Squarespace Blueprint lets you personalize your site with professionally curated layout and styling options that you can use to build your online presence from the ground up, tailored to your needs and optimized for every device. Help your customers and get yourself paid with seamless and simple but powerful payment tools. You can accept credit cards, PayPal, Apple Pay, and in eligible countries, give customers the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. And whether you sell physical goods, digital content, or services, Squarespace has the tools that you need to set up an online store. So if this sounds interesting to you, right for you, go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/flop to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And now let's go back to Boston and If, the movie that hurt us all. So this is the last part of the show. We're going to stand up from our chairs, and as a man who is aging, it'll take me a few moments. Okay, and I did it. And we're going to answer a
Can you
few...
live tweet that next time? You getting out of a chair?
I'll do it step by step. I'm like, now I'm engaging my quads. Look at this
Engaging
guy.
quads.
Just stand up like nothing. Nobody.
Oh, now Stuart's
look at him
just showing off
squat.
doing a squat on the stage.
I can do that. Come on. All right. here we go.
All right, Dan's doing
Squatting.
it. All right,
Whoa!
there he is. He did it.
Contest.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm not impressed you
Look
did
at
it.
that hip mobility.
I'm impressed you got up from it.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to take a few questions if people have them.
If people have them. Dan, you're
And,
brilliant.
Thank you. and then we're going to end the show. There's someone raising. Well, yeah, there.
Hi, my name is Glenn, last name withheld. I'm a big fan. Last time you were in Boston, I sent this question by email and it didn't get answered, so
Ooh, double dipping. All right, okay.
it made me a little sad. But
Oh, I'm sorry.
starting with Stuart. Stuart, can you explain in detail the Primarchs who are the soulmates of your fellow cast members? And then
Sure, yeah. Okay, let's see. We're talking about the
I wonder why we didn't
Primarchs,
answer
the
this
primogenitors of the different Space Marine legions from Warhammer 40,000.
Okay, I was like, I thought Primark was sort of a store where you can buy kind of
Dan.
some
A store.
cheaper.
The only
T-shirts
store we
and-
talk about is the Warhammer store.
Okay.
So let's see. Dan would be, he's a little prickly and tough, and he kind of plays by the rules a little bit. I would say he's a Rogel Dorn. Elliot Kalin, of course, is very wordy and devious. I would say he's Lorgar.
I have no frame of reference
Okay.
about it. And Stu, what about you? What are you?
I'll trust that that's true.
Me, Fulgrim, baby. I'm the beautiful
Okay.
prince who turns to evil.
It made more sense when backstage we were mapping ourselves onto Winnie the Pooh characters.
Yeah, that's fair.
Dan's Winnie the Pooh, I'm Piglet, Stuart's Tigger, Dan is also
What are you
Rabbit.
talking about?
And Christopher Robin.
I'm a classic Eeyore.
You're Eeyore too. Wow, there's a lot. I mean, A.A. Milne's stories are basically the movie Identity, but for you, right?
Where do we have other?
Where's the microphone? We've got microphones.
That's what the microphone is.
Yeah.
This is Adam, last name withheld. So, given that this is a kid's version of The Sixth Sense, like a kid's ripoff, like a whimsical Sixth Sense.
Instead of seeing ghosts, they see imaginary friends.
Yeah, so what would you think of other M. Night Shyamalan movies being turned into for kids?
To be honest, there's old is basically big. Like that's like you go to a beach, you become a grown-up, you see what it's like to be a grown-up, and then you find a magic shell or whatever that turns you to a kid.
Is there a part in Old where a little kid touches a woman's boobs?
Kind of.
We were just.
Yeah,
sort
you're
of-
right.
The two kids grow up and have a baby.
Yeah.
We were just sort of writing a Winnie the Pooh split for me.
Okay, yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah,
where
that's
I
true.
inhabit all of the.
I would love somebody as MPD, but they're all Winnie the Pooh characters. Yeah.
Yeah, Winnie's the Pooh.
Winnie's the Pooh.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think we've already gone into
We've
it.
done it. We've done it. There's no way to do any better.
And Devil, kids love pushing buttons in elevators.
That was just produced by him.
Oh,
but
sorry.
I
Yeah,
guess it's
sorry.
within
I
the-
did. Okay, throw me out, ref.
the M. Night universe over there. I think we have.
Hi, yes. It's kind of a selfish question. It's for all of you, but it starts with Stuart. I was on a work trip to Brooklyn. I came and visited Hinterlands, and you were behind the bar.
Whoa.
Yeah. Great bartender. And we had a good discussion, and I told you I was about to go see a screening of Ready or Not. And you said, whoa, I can't wait to see that. Come back and tell me how it is. And I did. I told you I loved it. And you're like, I can't wait to see it. Now, this was 2019, just before the pandemic.
Yep.
So for all of you, but Stuart first, did you get to see it? And did you like it or not?
I would say I saw it and I liked it, but it was a little disappointed. That's not a very exciting answer. I feel like those guys' movies are a little, easy.
I liked that one a fair amount.
I mean, Samara Weaving's great.
Yeah, she's great. I liked it better than Abigail. I mean, Abigail was sort of hamstrung by all of it being explained in the trailer, but I think that if you're looking for a comedy horror movie from those guys, that's the one to watch, Ready or Not.
I liked it. I love anything where I can see some Andy McD.
Is that the cool kid way of saying
That's how
Andie
kids say Andy McDowell, Andy McD. So my younger son is obsessed with Charles Darwin right now, and I'm like, you want to read another book about Chucky D? And he does not like it. He doesn't like that at all.
Show him respect, father.
I'm like, tonight you want to read another book about Chardar? He's like, no, not it, please. His name is Charles Darwin.
Where's the mic? Over there, I guess.
Hi, I'm Eric, last name withheld. If we're just going into stuff the hosts know about, Elliot, you teased in a recent episode, you know about the Spider-Man villain Carrion. I was wondering if you wanted to explain it to the audience here.
Yeah, you didn't tell us about Carrion.
You're right, I didn't tell you about Carrion. I teased that I would explain the backstory of Carrion.
I'm assuming he's some kind of villain who makes himself small enough that he can be taken onto the plane?
That's an interesting misunderstanding. It's actually the homonym Carrion is in like a corpse.
That's what a homonym is?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
A homonym does not live in a hole in the ground, no.
Like in the EC comic Carrion Death, of course, the famous.
Sure, yeah.
I'm just making another reference that no one else is going to enjoy.
Anyway, he's a withered clone of another guy, and like there's a virus that can turn you into that clone, and he was supposed to be Norman Osborn's dead body come to life, and then the editors were like, we're not doing that. And so he's related to Miles Warren, who was the Jackal, and he was the one who caused the whole clone saga. This is all stuff you guys know about. So
I love how you've been asked to explain it because you poo-pooed it at the time, and you're like,
you guys know about this. Come on. So anyway, for more about Carrion, I guess check my website. Carrying on about Carrion.
Yeah. ElliotKalen.geocities.ca or something.
Is it Geocities?
It's not.
The Geocity.
Wait, how do you pronounce it?
I would say
you pronounce it GeoCities?
GeoCities, yeah.
Oh my God, we broke his brain.
I gotta check. I gotta check my Geocity website.
Just gotta make some calls.
We need another question. That was too shocking.
Let's do 3 more questions so we can cut it off clean. Is there one over there? Yeah.
Hello. Name is Bryant, last name withheld, and we seem to be on the topic of too stupid deep lore stuff, so here we go.
Okay. We can also answer questions that are not about deep lore.
No. This is deep lore.
On the podcast, Elliot and sometimes Stu will regularly drop the names of obscure Star Wars characters who have few or no lines and are only named in toys or ancillary media.
Just sometimes.
These characters are sometimes affectionately referred to as Glup Shittos.
Yes.
My question is, which Glup Shitto would you pick to be the vice presidential running mate for Kamala Harris?
Ooh,
finally,
interesting. Okay, this is a good question. This is a good question. You got to balance out her strengths with new strengths. Mm-hmm. You got to bring. You don't want Dr. Evazan or Ponda Beba because those guys are troublemakers.
I mean, he's a bit of a troublemaker, but I think the kids are so into vaping. Maybe Elon Sleazebagano, the death stick stealer.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, he has a checkered past, but that's obviously not a barrier for some.
And thanks to Obi-Wan, he no longer does that.
Yeah, I mean, a man has a certain quiet dignity.
I like a good Good Morning Guard. Like, I don't care which one.
Yeah, blue collar, understands the regular folk. I understand. Yeah, of course.
Likes axes.
Likes axes. Yeah, sure.
Bring in the axe vote. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
Maybe like a Rancor handler. I mean, he's a man who's comfortable showing his feelings.
So yes,
he understands loss.
Yeah, and he might have a Rancor if he can find another one.
He is the guy that we all thought that senator from where was it? The guy who wears a sweatshirt all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's the Rancor keeper is the guy we thought he was.
Yeah,
just kind of sensitive, but again, blue collar. He's good with animals.
Okay, one more from over here, and then one more from over here, and then we'll say goodnight.
I mean, he doesn't have a lot of political.
You can keep talking about that
experience. The Rancor. You want a Star Wars character with executive ability?
Sure, yeah.
Maybe so. I was going to say the guy who runs the Mos Eisley Cantina, but he's anti-droid. That's not going to fly.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, hey guys, I'm George. The other day, my mom watched the kids, and she sent me a text that night saying, "Oh, we watched If." And I loved it! ! Previously, we had disagreements about Cats, where she genuinely thinks it's a really good movie and says that I just don't.
She might be right about that.
She says that I just don't understand it, and that's why I don't think that it's good. But I
like that response.
But I'm just
Come back to cats when you've experienced some things.
But what is a movie if you wanted to get a sense of someone's taste as like a bellwether? If you'd ask them their opinion of a movie to get kind of a feel for their taste.
Before we answer this, I'm gonna say I don't approve of this this way of judging people.
Well,
by asking them about one movie and being like, "How do you feel about this one?"
No. I want to say.
Have you read Watchmen?
To be fair, he just said to get a sense of their taste.
Okay,
he
fair.
did not say
Fair.
necessarily that there was a judgment attached.
Okay,
to it,
you're right. Judgment free. How do you feel about this movie? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy one. If somebody doesn't like My Cousin Vinny, they're a monster.
This is a weird one because
It's a weird one because I'm like, well, you can get a pretty good idea of someone's feelings about movies if you make them watch like Possession or like Mother and see how they respond to that.
Oh yeah, do you like Houseu?
But I guess if someone's like my favorite movie, Boondock Saints. Sorry, Boston. Then I'll be like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one because I feel like in college there are a lot of people who are like really into Boondock Saints. I'm like, I'm sure you're lovely, but I don't think we're gonna get along.
Another writer recently told me that they had to update their references because the thing they used to say was just to describe certain types of guys was, well, Fight Club is his favorite movie, and then she started talking to people who are young enough that they're like, what? Like, I don't know. Okay, I don't like it. So
wait, what's the new Fight Club is their favorite movie?
I don't know. I don't know what the new Fight Club
Joker.
is.
It's probably
Joker. Yeah, Joker. Yeah, fair
It's
point.
Joker.
Yeah. And now they're gonna
it's
be
just
like,
Joker.
The new Joker's got a chick in it. What?
Yeah, the guy's twisted.
Forget about it. They got Lady Gaga in there.
We got one more over there.
Hi, Hollis, last name withheld. I would like to play Radio Zork.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, let's dust it off. Let me blow the dust off this old console. This old Tandy. Okay, boot it up. Let's play some Radio Zork.
Is there any way that I can acquire an alligator?
I think you're going to have to phrase that in the form of an order command.
A command line.
I would like to acquire an alligator.
You look around the doorstep, searching for an alligator. None are to be found. Thank you for playing Radio Zork.
Next week.
Thank you so much.
Tune in next time for the next move on Radio Zork.
Thank you so much for coming here to WBUR City Space. We're going to be signing some merch, selling some merch, just chatting out there. But then now we have to go back there for a moment before that.
We'll be in the back for a couple minutes, and then we'll come out and we can say you things, and then sign them, and then you take them home.
Or we'll just say hi.
Deuce
But
Bigelow,
you can do that
Mel
too.
Gigolo. Yeah.
But thank you so much for being here. For the Flophouse, I've been Dan McCoy.
I'm Stuart Wellington.
I'm Elliot Kalin. Thank you, Boston.
Good night.
Appreciate it.
Oh, this guy.
Oh. Thank you. We forgot to mention you. Stuart is now more virtual than meat. He no longer exists in physical space most of the time.
Elliot, if you've been following me on TikTok, you'll see that I am plenty full of meat.
Please let it be just an eating series that you're doing.
Technically, we're all full of meat. We're made of meat. Hello, Boston.
Hey. Talk about your cities of meat, right?
Like what? Name them. What are some Boston meats?
Well, a Yankee.
You go to your Boston market and you get
Boston chicken.
Yeah.
A Yankee bean is just a testicle, right?
That's right.
Is lobster meat? Is that? Thank you. Okay, I'm right.
Yeah, you're right. You did.
You guys are always trying to gaslight me. They know I'm right.
We've been trying to convince him for years that lobster is not meat, and someone in this
you
audience
all
messed
undid
it up.
it in one fell swoop.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
supported
directly
by you.